He had the opportunity to make some things happen. And what did he make happen? He pardoned the homies from crimes that they were guilty of, that they admitted to being guilty of and committed, and including the Blackwater contractors, George Papadopoulos, and the ex-lawmakers, the people who were involved in the Robert Mueller case. This gets exhausting, just having to hear this stuff, because I'm not a political pundit. I am not a political figure. I'm actually a citizen that gives a shit about the people of this country, specifically a lot of the people that come from places like where I come from. And it just seems like there's no solution in sight. And that's why so many people feel apathetic, and so many people felt like this election was some bullshit. It didn't matter who they voted for, because they were still voting for the oppressor and voting for the people that that continue to put the proverbial foot on the people's necks. And we are all exhausted and tired. And so I'll say Donald Trump on Tuesday announced a wave of lame duck pardons, including 2 for men who pleaded guilty in the Robert Mueller investigation. George Papadopoulos, former U.S. Congressman Duncan Hunter, and Chris Collins, and the 4 Blackwater guards involved in the Iraq massacre, where a child was murdered, and citizens who were unarmed were murdered. And that Blackwater company, I'm sure of, is owned by or ran by Betsy DeVos's brother. So here we are watching this crime syndicate play out all of their egregious acts before the very American people, while the people are so devastated by loss, hunger, frustration, poverty, crime, sickness. And he's looking out for the homies. He is absolutely looking out for the homies. And we are sitting here watching it all play out. And you know what? I tweeted something yesterday, and people's responses were, why are we not revolting? Why are we not kicking these people in the ass? Why are we not showing up for the people? Because the crazies are showing up for the crazies, but why are the American people who are normal and want some peace and justice in this country and equity and all of this stuff, why are we showing up? Yeah, I see you, Jackie. He said China started it. It's China's fault. So he mentioned a bunch of countries, people of color, ethnic people, to prove, because he's just feeding his base. It's everybody else's fault that the United States is in this problem, but not the fault of the American government, who has been fucking its people for generations now, and it's getting worse. So here we are having these conversations, and what can I tell you? What can I tell you? Good afternoon, Tony H. What can I tell you? And the Black people in America, now that ADOS has shown up, said it. They were like, hey, all these motherfuckers are not on our side. Like, why are we pumping for Biden? Why are we pumping for Trump? They all in the same game. And nothing has happened to improve the conditions of poor people in this country, Black people in this country, brown people in this country, anybody who's at the bottom of the food chain. Nothing has changed to improve the conditions. And not that it would happen overnight, but we're not even having those conversations. Donald Trump is trying to hijack the office, turn this shit into a dictatorship. If you watch the way dictatorships happen, he is following the rule book, which is why he's kicking it. He loves kicking it with Putin. He kicked it with Kim Jong-un. He's complicit. He is fascinated with the dictatorship, and very intrigued as to how to turn this country into one, because he wants to be the king. He wants to be in charge. And we are sitting around here watching it happen. And it's infuriating, it's frustrating, and it's downright ugly. And, the fact that he pardoned these people is gross. The fact that one of those men is associated with Betsy DeVos, who's been fucking our education system since she got in here. Not that she started this shit, because our education system has been fucked forever. And you know what's really good about our education system is how it works for corporate America, how it works for capitalism, is that you graduate with a degree that you can't get a job with, and then you owe a lot of money and you stay in debt and at the bottom of the food chain. And that's what I'm gonna be talking about. Like I'm ending my year with, you know, saying I don't want to be involved in this anymore. I don't want to talk about politics anymore, because I am so disillusioned with this political system, and that is not that's not helpful to you, right? So what do? How do we organize from the ground up? How do we support the organizations and the people who are actually working to try to make this world a better place for us? How do we have these conversations and say Black people and brown people without everybody else saying, well, what about? Because the lack of balance in our communities the lack of balance is, first of all, visible. It is apparent. It is undeniable, and it is horrible. And it has caused so much. So if our education system is bad in America, it's worse in the hood. If not being able to get a nice house when you are a celebrity or you're a rich person of color, a Black person in this country, it's worse if you are not a celebrity or you're not rich. So I'm just sitting here just going off the dome today, because I honestly was planning to have a conversation with Frederick about his book. And then I start seeing these headlines and I start remembering why I don't want to be associated with this stuff anymore, because it feels like you are selling the people pipe dreams. And I don't want to be a part of that shit. I want to be a part of the solution.